we move on straight to the African Creatives panel. The topic is the creative capital of Africa: culture, commerce, and the new global influence. Unfortunately, our moderator is caught up somewhere, so I'll do the moderation. I count it a privilege. So let me invite first the CEO of SMADE Entertainment, King SMADE, Dr. Adeosun Jr., to come up stage. Let's give it up to him. He's the man. I call him the king. King SMADE, your seat, please. Welcome. And then also the founder and CEO of my Runway group, Kojo Marfo. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so we have some more chocolates, please. Paul wants everybody to have chocolate. I want to make sure that from here you go straight to the gym. Lot of gifts for everybody, so get ready. This is the King's Bite, made milk chocolate, made in Ghana. It's also a taste of Ghana by Niche Cocoa, and we have some wonderful beats. So the first question is to everybody here. My Runway group. Who knows my Runway group and what do they do? You get a beat, please come. No, now this one you can't answer there. You have to come up here and stand here. Let's give it up to her. Oh, you came with Kojo? Okay. Then I will nullify the question.
They are a fashion. They do like fashion shows and.
Because of the runway, or that's easy. So continue.
And I guess they spread awareness of like different African fashion styles and designers.
Okay, we'll give it to you. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so we also have King SMADE here. Somebody to tell me about him. King SMADE. Okay, please come. You want to do it from there? Okay, you can give her the mic. Okay. Founder of Afro Nation, and what else? Okay. All right, so you have I think you love chocolate, right? Okay, I'll give you chocolate. Thank you. So we'll go straight into the discussion and then we'll come back to that. Thank you. Welcome, gentlemen. All right, so King SMADE, I'll start with you. So how did this whole vision start from, now you are a household name, not just in Africa, but everywhere. Everybody knows about the work that you've done. But how did it start? What inspired this vision?
Thank you so much, sir, Honorable. First of all, I'd like to say my greetings to the Royal King and Queens and every single one in the building today. Thank you so much for making it to Africa Week. My name is Adesegun, as you all know. Born in Nigeria, proudly African, spent the greatest part of my life in Africa, in Lagos, building, the cultural greatness that you're all seeing today in creating Afro Nation or influencing Africa in the diasporan space. I grew up in Lagos from a family of 13, first son, and I just wanted to get better all the time. So I forced my way to the UK, even when my dad didn't want me to, because I was very valuable to him. And when I got to the UK, it wasn't cool at all. 21 years ago, it wasn't cool to be African. And, you could barely see anyone on the streets rocking or draping African attires. You could barely see our jollof rice or suya, 21 years ago. You could barely see African pride on the streets, people holding their chest high I'm proud to be African. I put it upon myself when I stepped into this country. I prayed to God to use me. And I thank God that today God has used me in building communities, in uniting nations, not just being the founder of Afro Nation, like my sister said, but being a son of Africa, uniting the world through entertainment, through fashion, through sports, through food, championed every industry since I came in here, studied it, did my first degree, in marketing, my second degree in MBA, and Afro Nation was actually my case study for that.
Wow.
So everything I have built, every one I have influenced in the music industry, being the first to do shows like Whiskey, Davido, Kiss Daniel, Olamide, Stonebwoy, Nice to See, Diamond Platinum. Not just as a Nigerian promoter, but as an African promoter. So it's been intentional. And like we were discussing earlier when I walked in, it's time to recreate. It's time to reinvent. It's time to do what we have done without avenues like this. When we started, there was no rooms where we could discuss the future of Africa. But now we have investors, VCs, people in fintech. Now the creative industry is a different space entirely. So it's time for us to hold hands. It's time for us to come together, from government to creative industries to the private sector to the royalties to everybody. We are all investors. We all have a part to play. And I just want everyone, to remember that now Africa is the prize. When you walk into this room and leave this room, continue to promote Africa. Continue to promote your country. Continue to be proud of who you are. In the last 1 year, I've been privileged to tour Africa, Senegal, Ghana twice, Nigeria, Ethiopia, Rwanda, Kenya, to see the greatness and to connect the dots. And I pray that God would continue to...
Are the dots connecting well?
Very well.
Very well.
Very, very well. Thank you so much.
All right, Kojo, so, Runway Ghana, tell us about it. And did you see it being what it is today when you started out?
Thanks for the question. Personally, no, but I just knew it was very progressive from the start. So similar to Doc, I was born and raised in Ghana till I was 18. So my formative years was going to school in Alpha Beta and in Accra, and then also to Infansipim secondary school. And then I joined my family later in London. And then when I went to Coventry University, I didn't qualify for government loans or grants, so I decided to find a way to stay in university and fund it by doing creative initiatives, so fashion shows, comedy shows, raves, just different events in the creative space. But then what I was doing for money to basically be able to fund my fees and stay in uni, other people wanted to be part of it because of what it would do for them career-wise, or portfolio, or for their content, or just making them employable and industry ready. So I realized that it was more than just money in terms of what I was doing. So 13 years ago, it started off just being a creative production to just help different people in the creative arts. So if you're into fashion, you could be part of the production. If you're a makeup artist, you could be part of the production. If you're a designer or content creator, whatever it is, there was room for you. So at one point, we had like over 100 different creatives being part of one team. And then scaled it up into from being a university initiative to a regional initiative where you had people from Birmingham, Loughborough, Coventry, Leicester, pretty much in the West Midlands area. And then it had kind of outgrown that, so kind of moved it to London where we did O2 Indigo, and then we did Copper Box Arena. But ideally was just platforming creatives and giving them the opportunities that usually they wouldn't get in the mainstream creative industry. So as the time has gone on, we just realized that creatives are brands too, so started doing a lot more in doing global partnerships with different brands, so from Coca-Cola to Google to Meta. Quite recently with Cannes Lions, we came up with an initiative called African. So when I attended Cannes 2 years ago, I realized there was no representation in the regarding Africa. And Cannes Lions Festival is basically the home of creativity. So I kept questioning myself, like, how are you the home of creativity, the global hub of creativity, and there is no African representation, or even global South, right, in general. So then the next year, we just came up with the concept of making sure Africa is well represented on these global stages, and making sure that just not even part of just programming or visibility, but making sure talent is well represented, and also being part of like their focus group and research to see how African creatives can be embedded into like the global conversations. So that's basically how it's become progressive for us. And thanks my sister for saying fashion, because people know us for different things over the last 13 years. People know us for what we do for businesses, for being the very first Black-owned concept store in West End, when we had over 200 Black businesses in Carnaby for the very first time. We've done the same thing in Somerset House. We've done the same thing in Covent Garden. And then just realizing that, look, there is different ways where you can platform African creatives and African brands, or diaspora creatives and diaspora brands, and seeing ourselves as the middleman or the conduit in terms of making sure that these amazing brands that don't get the commercial visibility that they deserve are well placed and are given, the right exposure that they need.
Thank you very much. Don't you think he deserves a big round of applause? Yeah, he does. Back to SMADE, you've been noted for pushing Afrobeats globally. I mean, making it really a household genre. How did you do it, and what's next for you in that space in terms of music, African music?
So, like Fela Nikolako said, music is a spiritual thing. Music was always the bait to create the attention, to get the attention of the world, and with the new social space, tech space, our music travels so fast, and growing up, I've always loved music. I've always wanted to, collect music from different cultures, understand music as a language, understand it in fashion, in sports, in every avenue. So I decided to break it down. Understood the business side of it, being an entrepreneur. I started from house parties, at a time when I wasn't even sociable myself. This was in 2003, 2004, when no one understood, the movement and the space. I was intentional with celebrating Africans. Our food was a must. I'll get my mom to cook jollof rice, and all my friends just come for the food. I encourage African fashion, and, just played African music. Get my mates who were interested. Because at the time, if you go to the Central London clubs, you have to have money to listen to our music. You'll probably have, to buy 4 bottles or 5 bottles to listen to P Square or Awilo. So I created a space, where
So you buy one.
Well, so that you can even bring your own drinks.
But, okay.
So it was always selfless. It was always understanding, the journey and where we are today, what the influence that we carry in Afrobeats, the influence that we carry in Afro Nation, and how it's helping everybody to believe that they can also do it. Also building a lounge, from those parties that I've done. We started from parties, then club nights. We started with the nightlife, got people's attention, got the students to start understanding that this is the new vibe, Afrobeats. This is the new culture. This is the direction of where we have to go. It took a while. People thought we were crazy. People thought, what's this African thing? What's this outfit? But now it's so cool.
Cool.
And everybody's just rocking it, and the attention is, Africa. But beyond that, there's the influence of the artist, the music artists, and I'm talking about the greatest giants representing our music today. The Burna Boys, the Davidos, the Wizkids, not just the Afrobeat scene, but also if you look at Ep Life, Black Sheriff, they're talking about Stonebwoy, Shatta Wale, talking about all the females, Mary, Thames, all the guys around the world. So we were discussing earlier, and another thing I told you is this is just a scratch of our gold. We have more in Africa, and it's time for culture. It's time for us to introduce, the unseen, the unknown, and that's what I said about recreating. Let's do it again. When I first brought Davido to this country, no one was interested. You had to force it to them. Yeah. We had to go to Manchester, Birmingham, Coventry, go to the unis, and force it to the students, forced Afrobeats into those spaces. So I think, now it's time for us to go back to our drawing board, understand the strengths that we have right now. There are a lot of great Africans around the world in political spaces, in, private sectors, in different industries all over the world, not just in the UK, but in Europe, in Canada, in US, and all the different spaces that you wouldn't believe. You'd be surprised how much people are interested from Brazil, from Jamaica, from the Black Americans. People want to be us. They want to dress us. They want to find their roots through music. They want to reconnect. So we have to open our arms. We have to be willing to welcome back these people, because they are not just coming back. They're coming back home to where they belong. They're coming back to reinvest from all the knowledge they have gotten from the diaspora market. So this is time for diaspora, and this is time for all 54 African countries to benefit from what's happening right now in the diaspora space. Thank you.
But let's stay there. So in terms of cultural authenticity, and how do you balance that with creating a global appeal? Because you're saying you want people to feel the African vibe, but then you also want to make a global appeal. How do you balance it?
Yeah, so first of all, we must remember who we are everywhere we go to. The African pride, who we are, finding our roots, understanding our strengths and weaknesses, understanding the importance of investment, understanding our gifts, understanding, myself and my brother Kojo now, we have to find a way to connect from here. And that's how it happens in this room. Yeah. Everyone in this room
must
connect. You must network. We must hold hands and add value to one another. And I think this is the time.
Thank you. So Kojo, back to you. You've spoken about Africa's soft power and how we can build that up. How are you doing that, and how do you see that connecting with a platform like this?
I think now more than ever, it's like the buzzword now, like Africa's soft power, and it's just realizing the potential that we have. Like, we've always had it, but there hasn't been a lot of middlemen pushing the agenda. There haven't been a lot of connectors building bridges between the diaspora or the continent and global opportunities. So we've decided to take it upon ourselves that any area that we feel like African representation is needed, we just go in there and make sure that we're well represented. Because a lot of people for a long time have gone away with being global this, global that, world this, world that. And they haven't really kind of had a seat for African brands or creativity. And I think even with the recent United Nations speeches, you could tell that all the African leaders were speaking the same language, that we need a seat in the corridors of power. And it's the same thing that translates across the creative arts, the same thing that translates across Africa's soft power and representation on a global scale. So on our side, we've just realized that, look, the average woman here might go to Sephora UK to buy beauty products, and then they probably would just search like lip balm or this, and then just buy it because it's good. That's the same way mainstream UK British customers are shopping. So one of the things that we do a lot is marketplace integration. So we partnered with Sephora UK to get African beauty brands on their platform. And what we made sure that we ensured is that we didn't want it to be a tab or a column that says black businesses on the website. We just wanted it to be integrated, pretty much hidden, until you search for like lip balm, and then maybe an R&R skincare will come up. Or if you search for body oils, it will come up. And if you like it, you buy it. And we realized that a lot more sales were being made that way. So we did the same thing with anthropology. it's a global chain of stores, and then got a bunch of African brands in there, physically into like their stores in Bath, Liverpool, 2 stores in London, King Street, Central London as well, and then it's also making sure that it kind of lives online as well. So I think it's just that being intentional and realizing your position in the ecosystem or the global chain. With us, we're not the talent, we're not the brands, but we are the conduit between the brands and the global opportunities.
Yeah, being intentional. But then, what are some of the barriers that you face? I mean, in the creative sector, actually,
Funding,
funding.
yeah, like with
Funding.
it's.
Show us the money. Funding.
I mean, you can't do everything by yourself. That's one. You need a team to kind of get things done. That costs money. You also need support, especially from government agencies.
How did you fund yours? How did you?
A lot of it's just be internal or
Internal.
self-funded.
Okay.
Just because, for me, it's become more of a calling or a mission. So it's hard to walk away when the money is not there. Like, give you an example. We have a new partnership with Saatchi Gallery, and Saatchi is one of like the biggest art heritage institutions. And we've been trying to raise funding for an initiative where you have a London-based photographer going to Ghana to take pictures of like Jamestown and all of like these cool areas. And he's already been like 2 weeks ago, and he had an amazing time. And the British High Commission is like interested in it. And then we have a Ghanaian photographer coming all the way to UK to take different pictures of like UK, and then they do a joint exhibition in Saatchi, which I think is a great idea. But then it's just the hustle of trying to raise money to fund these initiatives. Then if not, if you just have to pay for their own flights, pay for their own commission artworks, you know, all like the cost that comes with it until you find like a funding partner. So I think in some cases we've been lucky and have found like partnership with some global brands that have paid, but government agencies, unfortunately, I don't want to put it on the spot, but having been the most responsive, we've had several meetings with several people. We got to a point I was like, I'm not even interested, you know, but these are the same people that are supposed to do what or amplify what you're doing. Our recent initiative with the Mayor of London at the Trafalgar Square, where we had a Accra to London space for the very first time. The Mayor of London was there, interacted with different Ghanaian brands, and then you know, we've been trying to get like government agencies to kind of make it a thing where the space could be bigger, a lot more brands could be there, even founders can leave Ghana and come to the UK and then interact with like mainstream British customers at Trafalgar Square, which is like once a year. But you might have, or we, if I'm being honest, had issues with, you know, trying to get sponsorship for such initiative. But at the end of the day, it's a big opportunity that we kind of, you know, kept pushing for. So I can't look away. We just have to pay for stuff and just make it happen. So I would say there's a couple other things, but funding is like the number one.
Kingsmade, do you agree? Is it only funding? What else?
Totally. Funding has always been, and it's still the reason why we're all here to invest in this room. You know, so yeah, I'm here to, we still need help. We still need a lot of help. You know, I remember back in the days, we have to self-fund it. You have to work hard. You have to do all the menial jobs. Probably have to use the nightlife money you make from the clubs to invest in the concerts and then the festivals. You know, and now that we're getting the attention of the tech world, you know, the banking, you know, industry is also interested in the creative industry. So we're on the right track. You know, we're doing the right things. So we're in the right room. And I believe that there's some silent investors in this room just looking. Yes, we have more festivals to create. We have, you know, like I said, we have to build more talents, create more spaces, you know, support ourselves, you know, more. So I totally funding. I agree funding is our biggest problems, you know, especially in the creative industry, you know, and we've never been here before. You know, hip-hop rap was funded with, you know, Coke money as it is. We didn't have the government. We didn't have anybody. We invested in it ourselves. Yeah. You know, so most of the time you have, you know, we've changed the narratives of how people see Africans through funding, as you mentioned. Nigeria, for example, a lot of people 10 years, 15 years ago used to know them as 419 or scammers. You know, those guys have now changed their lives and started singing.
Yeah.
They've now turned things around, and that's why our music
It's growing.
is growing. And music is creating more fire and giving attention to food industries. I met Enish when he only had one in Lewisham. That was 8 years ago. And I've been privileged to support him to growing into Dubai, into Africa, into different parts of the UK. African Fashion Week, you know, I couldn't sponsor, but I will put my influence forward. I'll put myself forward and sponsor with my team and marketing resources and my space on social media. So we all have what it takes. It might not have the raw cash now, but we all have what it takes to invest in one another. So funding is key. So if anyone has, you know, any funding opportunities, please. I don't know about Kojo, but I'm here.
I'm your way. All right, thank you very much. We want to go to the floor, and then we'll come back to you. Any questions, any comments on what you've heard so far? This is a very insightful conversation around creatives and how we can, use the power, the soft power of Africa on the global stage. All right, Chief.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kojo and King Smade, because I don't think you can call him Smade. I think he's intentional putting King there anyway. So probably I will ask him what that rate. I think I've gotten it at Adeosun. Yeah. So back to my input. It's not a question. I think it's something that the sporting what do I call it, the team that were here 2 days ago, because I wasn't here yesterday because I went to uni. So my name is David Doherty. I was the one that mentioned that I'm from Togo. My mom is from Togo. My dad is Nigerian. I was born in Nigeria anyway. So within the sporting industry. So I think with what you guys have said, it's the same thing with sport anyway. There's no way you're going to talk about the creative industry, entertainment, or whatever, and you can take our sport out of it. And I think it's the same thing that we've been facing in terms of funding, in terms of people coming together. I think one thing first is that we don't actually come together. Partnership, people see it as competition, maybe within the African setting. But one thing is that if you come together, there's more to do, and there's a whole lot of opportunities that we can create. So, I just wanted to add, it's not a question anyway, is the part of funding. Funding is very, very important for everybody here to do something. And I'll give you an example. We had an inaugural award of the first of its kind in the UK, and I believe someone will also pick it up within the Ghanaian, what do you call it, community in UK. We had the Nigerian UK Sports Award, which was done in Central London on the 15th of September. The whole idea was that the whole thing was just funded by, individual, pocket, just like you guys mentioned. So it's not something that came from any major sponsor. But what we've managed to achieve is that we've managed to put something on ground to try and speak to the brands, for them to see what we're trying to achieve. Because what I've noticed is that Ghanaians, Nigerians, Togolese, South Africans, and all that are in the UK, that's maybe one way or the other, being involved in sports or representing England has been maybe a Ghanaian descent or a Nigerian descent in the past. No one has celebrated them and said, okay, well, this is Ghanaian UK Sports Award. They've not done that. So we did that, and I believe someone here today can also pick up that brand or pick up that initiative and do something to try and celebrate the Ghanaians in the UK that actually, not just, boosting the sports, sector in the UK, but also using that platform to represent Ghana back home in terms of Black Stars or any other sports. So what I will encourage us to do more, because I'm here not just because I'm here to listen, I'm here to network, and also to meet with this very man here. I think he has a lot that is probably going to be bringing into what I'm doing as well in sports, and also I think there's some values that we also can add to each other. So thank you very much for this platform, and I really want to commend you for this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so over to you. Yes, question, yeah.
Hiya. When it comes to like pitching to, let's say, celebrities or like big time influencers, what is your advice in 2025? Because I believe like trying to get the big names on board, brands, musicians, how was you able to convince them that what you were proposing to them was a good idea, but you didn't necessarily have the funding to be able to give them something of substance at the time? Obviously, when you guys started a while ago, it was different because maybe they weren't as big as they are, the brands or the artists. But how would you advise anyone trying to reach out to celebrities, musicians, big higher up people, when you don't necessarily have anything substantial to give them?
Do you want to go? Okay, cool. First of all, I'll answer that question, but I have to lay. I just remembered something that before I got here, there were people that were doing it. There were people that have laid the blueprint. You know, they've invested hard into what some of us are enjoying today, just like the new generation has enjoyed what I have, you know, myself or Kojo have labored for. You know, there's Uncle Freddie Anand over there in 1980, and I'm talking about 1980, in the 80s. He was doing O2 Brixton with cultural talents, with Shina Peters, all the Ghanaian legends at the time. These are people that paved the way for us, and we're still enjoying that today. When I started, I saw a bigger vision, and I understood that the problems, the challenges, the funding aspect, and all I had to do is self-made it. Is push through, is break all the barriers, is understand the sharks, is understand the ones that would come and exchange just for the money, not for the passion. It's understand what you can give. It's understand your value. You know, you have to get to meet up to their standard if you're trying to get to them. You have to build your way up. You know, I tell students, and when I speak to students, 5 Ds. You're a dreamer, you dream, you drive your dream, you be determined because you're going to meet a lot of challenges, the discipline to get to that dream, and the delivery. So if anything comes to your head or your mind or your heart, believe you can do it. So regardless of all just identify what needs to be done and pursue it. Like investors, the partnerships, the people you need to collaborate with, your competition, your team. Build a team, build someone that there's someone that knows someone. It takes only 2 or 3 people that you need to know to get to anybody in the world. So it's about relationships, building relationships, networking. You know, you'll get to know someone that has someone's contact. So never stop building relationships. Back in the days, I would go without social media, without the ticketing platforms. I would drive north, east, west, south to and deliver tickets. You know, but I was doing that for those before me, the Black Knights, the Cocoa Birds. I put myself out to serve. You know, I'll go to different restaurants, I'll put the posters and the tickets there. Building relationships with those families that I was delivering tickets to, and those restaurants and those barbershops I was building relationships with. So in every corner of industries, I've had an impact. So that's what you need. That's your power, your impact, your value, and your knowledge. Thank you.
On my end, I think Snake's Lady's pretty much said it all. But I think when you go into a partnership conversation, it's more value and then also long term. Value could be anything. It's not necessarily maybe community you've built or the numbers. It's you probably sometimes seeing what they don't see, and that could be your value. And also, quality of recommendation plays a lot. Like you might meet someone that might be the reason why a head of like Coca-Cola might want to talk to you because of who they are. So sometimes we feel like we have to get to the very top or do the most before some of the brands will work with us. But I like to treat everyone equal and just be kind and respectful to everyone. First of all, that's how I've been raised, but also it helps a lot in the navigating business space. One of like the biggest thing we ever done was with Coca-Cola commercial. And the reason why we got it, because this boy that interned with us for like a year, his dad was head of agency that was recruiting talent. And he's like, oh, he knew we can deliver because his son keeps coming back home and telling him about the amazing stuff he's been given opportunity to work on. And maybe if I pitched directly to Coca-Cola, maybe it could have been a yes or no, because they have like their go-to agency for years. And sometimes it's hard to break those type of cycle. But it took an intern that had a good working relationship with us to recommend us to his dad. And then we ended up having like pretty much our biggest check ever. So I would just say sometimes your everyday dealings with people is building blocks to a bigger future. And I understand, like, everybody sometimes wants, like, the big names at a go, but the small things you're doing with everyday people is what is getting you or setting you up for, like, the big partnerships, in my opinion.
Everyday people, before we come to Manye, please, you. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I have a question for the two panelists, but the question sparked because of something that was said by SMADE when he mentioned money, people that do what they do because of money, and people that do what they do because of passion. Now, for most people that are successful in their field, especially in creative fields, creative endeavors, you see that they started out with passion, but inevitably, because it is a business, it gets to a point where the business is so big that you can't neglect that fact. Passion alone can't drive it and can't get it to the next level. How do you then navigate that balance between the passion and the business side of it? Because inevitably, doing business, other people are going to get involved and other people are going to bring their own, whatever it is, their own problems, their own business mindsets, their own, you know what I mean? So how do you then navigate that? Having to, sometimes, things when you say, oh, it's just business, you might have to end up in those positions where you are the one doing that sometimes. How do you then balance the passion and the business side of it to make sure that you don't compromise either?
What's your name?
My name is Amugo.
Anugo, yeah. Okay.
AMG for short.
AMG, nice. We're gonna meet after this. It was you and was it Kwame? Kwame, the DJ, yeah. All right, cool. So, very, very important question. This is a question of passion and money and business. See, they're brothers and sisters, my brother. It's just like talent and hard work. You know, you have to work with both of them. If you have talent and you're sitting it out, you're not going anywhere. You might have passion. It's for you to understand and drive the business side of things. It's for you. You understand where you're going. Your gift is in your head. You know, I knew what I was going, and I just had to go through the process, like I mentioned earlier. The dream is bigger. The ideas in my head is deeper than Afro Nation or deeper than Afrobeats. I know where we are going, and this is going to unite Africa and unite the rest of the world, bring peace to the world. So deeper than what it is. Culture is now power. You know, I'll give you my own personal, it's a we thing, not a I thing. It's all of us. We all have a part to play. We all have to invest. You have your gifts. How are you going, are you thinking of helping me or Kojo? And equally, we can help you too. With our experiences, with our knowledge, with our finances, with everything that we have within our resources. So starting up small and taking that step is what you need to do first. You know, I started off from house parties, like I said. I didn't have the money to do festivals then. If I did, I would have done it or even failed woefully at it at the time because I didn't have the process. I didn't have the experience. I didn't have what I needed to have when I get to that festival level. So you need to understand how to start small, how to serve. I used to clean stadiums. I used to be a waiter. I used to do retail. I did everything. I studied. So every move you make on the chess game, on the chessboard matters. And that's why you're king. Thank you.
All right. Great. So thank you very much for all the wisdom you are sharing with us. My name is Peter Akanko. I am a senior lecturer at Nottingham Trent University in Nottingham, and I also run a sustainable fashion business called Kente Master. So we make innovative products out of kente. And we recently launched a gallery where you can come and learn about the history of kente weaving, various patterns and their meanings, explore the fugu, so many things from Africa. And we are working on promoting that. This might go more to Kojo, but again, Kingsmade can also contribute to that. You mentioned helping brands to get on some online platforms, get into spaces in London and all that. What kind of model do you work with in terms of working with these brands? Do they have to pay something, profit sharing, anything of that sort? And also for Kingsmade, if brands like mine want to work with you, what kind of model do you have in place, or what is the best way to go about that? Because we are really looking forward to growing, and we are looking for opportunities to do that. Thank you.
That's right. I think that's a very good question. On our end, we've tried and tested different models because there's not a one model for all, because there's different brands that are on different levels or stages in terms of what they need. Others literally need commercial visibility. Others need placement. Others need recommendation and whatnot. So we've had like our very first concept store in Carnaby, where it was completely free for all the businesses. And then we had like a 70-30 split on sale. Because obviously we had running costs and there's business rates and a couple other things. But the next one with Somerset, the numbers were different. We had to do an onboarding fee for most of the brands because we were paying more than we're kind of accustomed to with the Carnaby situation. And then if we do like pop-ups, sometimes it's like completely free. Others, but I'll tell you this, when it's free, people don't respect it that much as well. So you can have someone say, I want to be a part of it. The team shortlist them, have all the back and forth, and then they can decide to pull out like the day before, and then you now have to now find a replacement, or you look bad in terms of whoever you're partnering with. So the value in terms of commitment and charging is not literally just for running costs, but it's also to show commitment from like the brand side. But we meet people at their point of needs, because we've also been there. So we know that, look, you don't need to extort, or like our money is not coming from the onboarding fees. We know where pretty much keeps the light on, but it's just making sure that people also respect what they're being a part of, and also putting a situation in place where the more they sell, the more they earn. So it depends. And if some people also, I'll tell you this, like there's a brand that had like a product line, and they didn't want to sell. They just want people to like scan a barcode when they like it and go on their website and then join a newsletter or subscribe. So it really is bespoke to meet the different needs of each brand. So we don't have like a one model that covers everything.
Yeah, I think my brother said it all, but I dream of a day that, we can create a global partnership in our fashion world, where our Kente and our Kara will be on all the global brands. We'll be working LV, Louis Vuitton, and all these big brands, Chanel. They're all interested in our culture now. So I think I see that partnership happening, and, like I said, embrace, your culture. What you're doing is amazing. For that, I'm willing to promote your business for free in any way or any capacity you want. I'm willing to influence it. I'm willing to share it on my platforms. If you Google African King, even as a Nigerian, you see me as one of the royals in front right now, wearing my kente. Because when I travel to Ghana, I live it. I trust it. It's about understanding culture deep down. So yeah, we'll link up after this. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will go to, let's Manye do hers, and then we'll come. Okay, you have the mic. Okay, so you go first.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Esther Jiman. I'm here representing Where Ghana. Thank you. My question is, there's been a lot of talks. Like yesterday, one of the speakers said he went to, I think he's the former CEO of Electricity, ECG Ghana, and he said he went to one of forums such as this, and people were like, oh, these are the Ghanaians. The Ghanaians were discussing their big plans. And they said, these are the Ghanaians, they have all the big ideas, but when it comes to implementation, you not see them. Yesterday we went to different fashion industries here in the UK, and they are so willing. These are production companies that are so willing to teach us their trade secrets. What are we doing as Africans? Because this is Africa Week. I live here in the UK. I never heard of it till my sister back home in Ghana told me about it. I feel this is a great platform. You hear of artists coming to perform, and it's all over. You can hear all over social media. They make so much noise about it. I never heard about this. I went home talking about it to people that I felt should know about this. No one knew about it. So I feel we should make enough noise, one, create the platform, bring on board people we see who are doing marvelous. I wear Ghana, and people stop me on the streets. That's how I started selling here in the UK. People literally stop me on the street and ask me, where did you buy it? And I tell them, I'm selling it. That's how I sell. That's how I got my sister here. So I feel there are a lot of brands, like we have Tete Plaha and the rest here. How are we giving these people who, when we wear their clothing, like you're saying, you wear the kente and you are proud about it, why don't we give people who have really designed world-class products and sell it to the world so that we stop belittling ourselves? Thank you.
Do you want to answer that?
Let's take one more.
Unconventional, but I do want to understand what your understanding of funding is. Are you looking at philanthropy? Are you looking at corporate social responsibility, or an investment partnership that is in a form of a loan facility? I'm very interested.
Okay, should I take hers, so then you can answer? Okay. On our end with funding, because we kind of come across as a 360 organization, we qualify for pretty much every type of funding. So the reason I say that is we have a registered charity with a charity number, because when we're doing a lot of grant applications, we're missing out because you're not a registered charity. So we had a CSI and also converted it to a charity. But then we also have a limited company for normal funding conversations. So pretty much our revenue streams are grants from Arts Council, local government, brand sponsorships, and things like that. So depending on what the project is, we're very much open. There's restricted funding, which helps because it's tied to a specific project. But ideally, you just need money to be able to float. So that's why the unrestricted ones are more likely ones that we'll be open to. But even in the aspect of loans, because you're very confident, or we're very confident about some of the projects, because it's been it's 4th or 5th year. So we have all the numbers, we know how much to put in, what to get out. Very confident to go into for loans because of the projected returns and pretty much that. But sometimes even having those conversations about loans, the interest could be just way too high. But then if there was a consortium that understands what we are doing, and the numbers prove that, look, they're going to be able to pay back within this period with interest, we're not asking for free money if it's not available. Happy to have those conversations as well. So it's just more the accessibility to funding is where the concern is.
Thank you, Kay. Just to answer a question, this also has got to do with funding, because at the end of the day, we can't do the marketing, we can't do the adverts without funding. We need all the support. So you asked earlier the different angles to funding. There's supporting initiatives like this and creating more rooms. Shout out to all the organizers. My big brother here has come all the way from Africa to create this initiative. So it can be difficult. The event space, it's not rocket science. People, like I said, everybody out here, because of your interest for Africa, the only thing you could do is to come and listen. So thank you for sharing it. because I did this. I put it upon myself, to share this beyond being what I've been asked to do, because I know the importance. So if every single one in this room can copy the same thing, we can bring one more person or two people to the next event. So it's all our responsibilities. It's not just the organizers. It's not just, before the funds come, let's bring ourselves. Let's connect. Let's use the word of mouth. Before these days of social media, we used to have Ben TV. We used to have OBE. We used to have all these platforms that could reach directly to our Africans in the diaspora. But because of lack of funding, because of lack of support, we've lost them. So all we have is ourselves. All we have is to re-educate the next generation, for us to bring them and pull them to places like this. They're probably at home chilling at one barbecue, but this room is much more important for them, regardless of how they spend their last night. It's important for us to encourage more rooms like this in any capacity that we can invest in it.
Thank you very much. I think we will take you, and then we'll come back to the panel and then wrap up. It's been a very good discussion. Yeah, very good one. Yeah.
This is working.
Yeah, it's working.
So I was just curious. My name is Celestelle. I was curious about, it's like a hypothetical question. If a brand USP is sort of traditionally uplifting or promoting Ghanaian sort of culture and music, how do they sort of navigate into a more global space, especially to sort of attract more funding opportunities? And the caveat to that is mainly because when King Spade, you were talking about sort of in your early days, you were bringing over a lot of Nigerian artists. I was wondering in terms of like the Ghanaian space, there have been some, but there's a lot of conversation about not as many Ghanaian artists being able to come here or being able to like sell out tickets or sell out arenas and things like that. And sort of how do you connect those dots in that sense, if that makes sense?
Okay. We'll connect it, but let's give it a mic back there, and then.
Hello, this is so unusual for me to speak. So I think it's really two things I would have to share. It's fantastic to hear about funding, but I think for people like us, it's more than just the money. It is how you make people feel. Because we've talked about partnerships, we've talked about putting people on, and I have to say, people like Uncle Freddie, my brother SMADE, it's how they have made us feel. Like Paul, Linda, because you know, it's customer service. And as Africans, we're amazing at this until we have to partner and work together. And a lot of the time that is lost. I remember, so it's amazing you brought up about, Ghanaian artists being brought here. I remember taking a few Ghanaian artists to meet SMADE, and the feedback has always been, he has treated us like we're the biggest stars in the world. Reggie Rockstone, when I was in Ghana a few months ago, said, Angie, you took me to SMADE, and he treated me like I was Burna Boy. And I said, but you are. But that's because you made him feel
That is King Smith for you.
Yes, but...
Let's give it up.
But that is what sometimes we forget to do. Let us put each other on. Let us keep supporting each other. Let's be each other's champions, because then it makes it even more attractive to other people. So it's the same as when you work with brands. We work with brands a lot, with African artists. We work with, event spaces to promote our artists. And a lot of the time, again, it's return on investment. It's not always money, but are you making the customer feel good? Are you getting people to come back? Are you getting people to walk away thinking, I want to be affiliated with this brand because they have made me feel so positive? And I think for us, we do that because we're brought up that way, but let's bring that to business as well. That's my bit. Thank you very much.
All right. So as you can see, the models are getting ready. The fashion show is about to start. We'll get the panelists, King Smade and Kojo, to answer that and then give us their closing remarks, and then we'll get ready for fashion.
Okay. Because of time, I'll just keep it very brief. I think very good submission here by our dear sister. And I think it's very clear that we all have a part to play, every single one of us, no matter how small you think you are, or how big you think you are, or how, mid-level you think you are, you might be the reason why somebody just get connected or recommended for something. You might be the reason why somebody's product gets purchased or seen by another purchasing customer. So I think my take from this, or what I'm urging everybody else to do, is play your role in the entire ecosystem you find yourself. Be intentional about being African. It's our only currency at the moment. Let's support each other. Let's be there for each other. Let's turn out in our numbers. Let's recommend each other. Let's, put people up. Let's do what we can do in our own small space. And then collectively, it will have a massive ripple effect. Thank you.
The first, I'll start with Angela. Thank you so much, Angie, for the great comments. As I love to remind everyone that works around me or everyone I meet, it's so easy to be kind. It's so easy to be nice. It's so easy to make other people feel good. So let's not forget that. When we think about legacy, if we're sitting on gold, if you can actually help someone and you're not able to do it because you think it's going to go to waste, then you're sitting on your legacy. Legacy starts from when you're able to help another person. And that's how we can carry Africa in sports, in fashion, in music, in food, in different angles. And culture becomes so powerful when we do this. To answer the second question, I didn't just start off promoting African artists, Nigerian artists, the Wizkids and Davido. I fell in love with the culture first. I fell in love with building community. The music was the bait. How I started it was promoting everything Nigerian at the time before it got to Africa. Like I said, if I had the access, if I could speak the language the way my brother speaks it, if I have lived it at the time, I'll be in Ghana bringing the Shatters, the Sarkodis and all those guys. And I've worked with all of them with Afro Nation at some level. But I want to put this to everyone in this room and yourself. How well do you promote your country? That's where it starts. If you promote your country, your other neighbors will be interested. And then you will now get interest of the investors like myself or Kojo, the promoters, and all the people that will bring, value and investments to you from what you said. So as much as I want to do more shows, more tours for the Ghanaian artists, we need to understand the issues we have. We need to understand, the strengths and everything we have and then put it together. But I would love to work with you if you think there's any other avenue that, this could be better. This is why we are creating deeper than Afrobeats. We're going deep into culture. This is time for culture. So Afrobeats is just a scratch of our gold. I was saying to my brother earlier, it's time for us to bring the unseen and the unknown. It's almost like bringing out the village to the mainstream, but leaving your village people behind, though, if you get that. But yes, we have to represent. We have to promote our food, use your social media, your platforms, your TikTok, your Instagram, your Facebook, all those things, they go a long way. The algorithm catches up. So how well you promote your country is going to attract the investors, the promoters, and ownership is key. I think that's the last thing, ownership.
Ownership is key. Thank you very much. Let's give it up to King SMADE.